When I was a sophomore in high school, we went over to Waynesboro, and on the opening kickoff, Billy got hit.
He broke his neck. I don't think they ever thought he'd ever, be able to move, and because I think he was paralyzed for a while.
It still gives me shivers because I can remember it very well. But for him to come back from that and then keep on playing and doing the things he could do.
I don't think Billy could ever get his hands all the way up.
We called him No Hands Billy, so you can figure that out.
A couple of times I remember when he went to catch balls and the hands were kind of in different directions. So, that probably wasn't his strong suit, but as far as covering and pulling the flag, that was probably his thing. Being a young player, a lot of us looked up to him, for his leadership and advice. And if he had something to say, people were going to listen.
Billy Campbell, main position was linebacker, played some safety, played a lot of corner, and a little bit of defensive line. Played for many teams, but my main teams were Hannikin's, Crazy Horse, and I finished off at Miller Lite. I was known for flag pulling, most of them say, and dropping a lot of many interceptions, which I probably could have led the league in if I had them.
Billy played defense for a couple different teams, and each year that he played linebacker, he kept getting better. At first, you didn't know that he was reading your offenses, and then later, as the years went on, you could tell that he was definitely reading your offenses. He couldn't get enough of it, and he finally got to play on some pretty good teams, and I think he really enjoyed it then.
He was one of the guys that loved coming on a Saturday, and you'd see that smile on his face. He'd come to play.
I started playing because some friend of mine told me about the league over in Williamsport. And I was a high school player, and I broke my neck playing football in high school. I was told I would never be able to play again. Well, I wanted to prove them wrong and went out, played some flag, and played some semi-pro football for the Frederick Falcons.
Always had a smile on his face. It doesn't matter if he got an interception, doesn't matter if he missed a flag, it didn't matter if he got beat for a touchdown.
No one ever caught a touchdown pass on me. And if they caught a pass, they didn't get nowhere once they caught it.
He wasn't your typical crap talker like everybody, he talked some smack, but we, Hannigan's had some smack talkers, me being one of them.
I always talked. You couldn't, defensively, you knew where he was at all the time. And he would remind the offensive players where he was at all the time, because he wanted you to come his way.
Like I said, a lot of players didn't like me that I didn't play with. Played against them, I sort of get under the skin. That was part of my scheme, was getting under the skin.
He'd always say, pull his flag and throw it down and say, right here, right here.
And if I made good flag pulls, I let them know. I toss it up in the air, throw it down at their feet. They didn't like it because I sort of did like a gassing old move. I'd be throwing my arms around and firing up my team and trying to get their team, just to mess their mind up.
Some of the funny stories, just how he would get into the jawing matches with other teams and other players, I found it quite amusing. And then there were a few years we played on different teams, and I was a little concerned at times that he would start jawing at me, but he never really did. He would kind of jaw at other players and then look at me and wink and smile. So, I felt that I was still in his good graces.
He taught me a lot at linebacker. I didn't know a whole lot. I was used to the old high school linebacker, and it's totally different. And he stopped playing, and he retired 3 times. And he has the record. He beat Brett Favre for comebacks. And we'd always know when Billy wanted to play. He'd show up carrying those damn red spikes. And we knew we had an extra player when Billy showed up. I think Billy's going to appreciate this award more than probably anybody that's in the Hall of Fame. The guy lived and breathed the game. He was very intense. He loved it. The only thing is, he's the worst tour guide in Baltimore, so he's definitely not a downtown Baltimore Hall of Famer.
It wasn't a playoff game or anything. He come back into the huddle. It was like 3rd and long, and of course the guy he was covering caught the pass for a first down. He come back to the huddle. I looked at him and said, "Billy, what's WTF?" He looked at me and said, "Man, I didn't mean for that to happen." And then he looked at me and said, "Why didn't you get the quarterback?" I looked at him and said, I meant to.
I guess you ain't winning them all.
Well, there's many of them, but, mainly with the players after the games, watching other teams play, sitting on the hill, watching the games, players I end up playing with, but after the game, it was fun. That was the main things I really liked after the games. During the games, I was a physical player, and a lot of people didn't like me in a way, but once they got to know me, they seemed to love me.
We got done playing, sitting over at South, and we're sitting up on the hill. And everybody made a beer run. We had cases of beer stacked up everywhere. And we had no cooler. And Crockett and Billy and Figgy, they got a big box. They found a big box, and they put a trash bag inside of it and put all the beer in, filled it with ice. And I said, that's pretty ingenious. I said, what do you call that? And Crockett, Billy, and Figgy all at the same time said, we call that a ghetto cooler.
The old ghetto cooler.
Can you confirm that happened?
Oh yeah, yeah.
The ghetto cooler?
Yeah, the ghetto cooler, yeah. It didn't matter. We drank the beer so fast anyhow, it didn't need to get cold.